And the most magical moment I found recently is when I sell those posters, because not that it's all about the money, it's not. It's about the fact that I made something out of my brain that someone else likes. And like that is the most rewarding part about it. It's like someone loves something that I made in my brain enough to take it home and put it on their wall. And like that's just incredible. My name's Devin Hogdahl. I'm a screen printer. I specialize in gig posters, which are a screen printed medium that promotes bands, promotes other bands or festivals or anything like that to get people to go see music, live music. I've been exposed to art my whole life. My parents were artistic people. My dad was a sculptor, and a photographer, and an architect. He studied all these things. We always joke that he was a jack of all trades but a master of none, that kind of thing. So he was really good at a lot of things, but kind of hard to focus it down. So from that, I learned about photography. I learned about sculpture. We used to go to museums a lot. I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, which has some great museums. So I was exposed to museums in Madison, and then my mother and I moved to Europe, and we toured a bunch of museums there. So I was just inundated and exposed to all of it. When I got back and in high school, I started being in bands and I started getting into music. And from there, I started making flyers. And back at that point, we would do these Xerox copies. You design a flyer, take it to the local print shop, or actually, I would go to the gas station, put in 25 cents, and make copies. So from there, I kind of got the idea that you need to have a physical object to get people to come to your show. So I've made flyers that way. I dabbled in photography my entire life. I actually went to college because I wanted to be a photographer, not so much like an art photographer, but I wanted to do like the logistics, like developing, printing, like the darkroom stuff is what I wanted to do. So I went to college for that and realized pretty early on that I couldn't actually get into a darkroom until my junior year of college. At that point I was like, well, I could spend time doing this and get this education, or I could just get a job in a darkroom. So I moved back to Madison, got a job in a darkroom, and learned everything I wanted to learn about photography. Which is good too, because that industry only lasted about 5 more years after I left, and then it completely collapsed because no one's doing film anymore. So at that point I needed to transition, and I was still in bands. So I met some people that were opening a gallery space, one of which was a person who designed gig posters. So I learned from him like the ins and outs of a good gig poster, like the who, the what, the where, the when, that kind of stuff. And I followed him around, learning about the scripting process and cleaning a lot of screens and like being the grunt work kind of person, so I could learn this stuff. And then from there, I started designing screen printed posters for my own band to get people to come to our shows. And then I took a break. I quit making art when my daughter was born. Wasn't in a band, didn't have really any reason to make art, so I just kind of quit for a long time. And then we moved here, and I got in a band again. So I started making posters for my own band. And then we weren't playing frequently enough, and I started shopping it out. I started cold calling people. Like I cold called Nick Novotny, who does the Thaw Music Festival. I emailed them out of the blue and I said, hey, I love your festival. Can I make a poster for it? And they were like, yeah. so that was my first like foray into making stuff for other people. And from there, it's just kind of been, I just keep on making them, and I offer my services to everybody I know. I do a lot of work with Pops Art Theater, with Freedom, with local musicians I know. I cold call a lot still. I try and just get it out there. Yeah, it's the technical aspects have always really intrigued me more than even the final product. Like, the final product is amazing, and I've always loved, doing all these steps in the right sequence creates this almost piece of magic that ends up being perfect, right? Like in photography, you're exposing film, and then you're going to the dark and print it, and then put it in the developer, and it just like appears in front of your face. Yeah, it's a magical moment. I feel the same way about screen printing, whereas like when I design posters that have multiple layers, like you're printing a layer and it looks like nothing, then you print another layer and it looks like nothing, then you print another layer and it looks like nothing. Then finally you put the last layer on and it's like magic, it looks perfect. And it's like, I shouldn't say perfect because perfect is not what I'm shooting for. I'm shooting for good, because Voltaire once said that perfection is the enemy of good. So I've been trying to, and that magic moment though, about going to the very end is what all the technical stuff is all about for me. Is like I love the logistics, the nuts and bolts, the actions of it, like the repetition of it. It's like this Zen thing, you know, when you get in a clip of printing, you're just kind of doing the same motions, and you just kind of go, and you kind of forget that you're there, and you're like in this happy place. It's great. And I still get that every time. I design a poster, like when I design a poster on the computer, I see what the finished product's gonna look like. Mm-hmm. But then getting there is all this long process, and then when you're actually there again, it's just amazing that it actually comes out the way you had it in your head. And I've always felt that like you don't need to be a professional in any capacity to be a great artist. You just have to have like the drive and the will and the and the want to do it. You know, I mean, like not everyone can be an amazing painter, but there are so many different ways to make art than painting. You know. I also do like telling stories. Like I love telling stories, and if people are engaged in posters, but like on the fence about it, I love engaging and saying like, well, the story behind this poster is this, or that person in this poster came from this place. There are very few prints I do that don't have a story behind them, because like everything that I find comes from someplace, and if it's interesting enough for me to want to reprint it or to take it out of context and put it in a new context, then it's already interesting enough that I'm engaged to it. So like talking about it is super fun.